Okay, do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion to adopt the agenda is presented.
I'll second.
Motion made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Discussion and review, Darrell Anderson.
Thank you. I didn't put together anything really formal. Just thought we'd go through some of the projects and things we did this summer and some of the things that we're working on right now. The pump line replacement, I think everybody remembers that one up 2nd Street. That was the last section of pump line to be replaced, all the way from the wells on the west side of, over by the county shops, all the way up to the tank. So the bid price was $872,000, and we completed the project at $882,000. So for an underground job with lots of issues, I thought that was a pretty good thing. The project is still under warranty, of course. It will be for the rest of the year since we issued the substantial completion. So if there's any work left in the spring, bring people back. There's a few asphalt bumps and things that I've noticed.
Now, the paving will have to go up for bid, or does it not? Okay.
Well number 6 is over west of the county shops. That well caved in the mid-1980s. The town used to chlorinate down the wells, which has some benefit, but chlorine lines have somehow not down there correctly. Anyway, it ate a hole in the casing. We put a liner in it at that time to fix it, but the casing failed again this summer. So we were able to get a driller on that to clean out clean out the well, and we put a 10-inch liner down the well. Jeff's going to finish putting some gravel pack in the annular space between the 12-inch diameter existing well and the 10-inch liner. So with the casing cost, the drilling cost on that was $35,000, and the casing was $11,000. So we've got another well that we're existing well should last another 40 years. So. Questions?
Just talk a little bit louder.
A little bit louder?
Okay.
We're gonna have a little bit of money also added to that in getting the pump put back in, and we'll have to rebuild the building as well. But still minimal outlay for a good well.
Good.
1/10 of the cost of a new one.
Good. That's quite a distance to have to bring that line for Red Rock. I thought you would just tie into another line or something.
On the Red Rock?
Yeah.
On the Red Rock project, on Cadramis.
Mm-hmm.
That project extends the water line from the ready mix plant
Okay.
up past Red Rock. It also puts in a sewer line up to Red Rock, up to their site, so they can get rid of their wastewater. That's what we're discussing on the bids today. So,
Is that bid today, Darrell?
excuse me?
Did that bid today, or when did that?
No, bid last week.
Last week?
Yeah.
I missed it.
Yeah, I have the results here.
Okay.
I'll go through this other stuff.
Okay.
Talk about that. The geothermal injection well that operates for the schools and the hospital, we were getting some higher injection pressures. That well's located in the industrial park down by the railroad tracks, kind of near the county's incubator building there. We had some corrosion in the well, so we were able to shock the well, get rid of that corrosion. That was well worth the cost. It cost about $1,000. Our injection pressures are back to 0 right now. In addition, on the well 6, one thing I didn't mention, we did run into some issues down further. The driller ran into some things he couldn't get out of some old steel parts. We had to camera it again. There was some pipes down there. I don't know how they got in there, but we located them with the camera, and the driller was able to go down there, swedge onto them and get them out. So somebody dropped something down there at the same time. The hospitals and the schools geothermal, haven't done much with the schools. The hospital, we do have the BTU meters installed in all of the 3 garden complexes, the old nursing home. I think one of them's in an assisted living. The new clinic that they just finished here last summer, we do have the BTU meters installed on those. To see them remotely, which we were shooting for, so we can pull them up on the computer and read what they were. We did have a little bit of trouble with the hospital's server system, trying to get in to see just, all we need to do is look into their network and see those things. We don't need to see any of the other hospital information. So their IT people worked on that for a while. I ended up having to hire an internet consultant to figure it out. I don't know anything about that myself, so I had to get someone else to do that. So, but those are up and running, so they're monitoring use right now. The garden buildings work pretty good. Their flow requirement is pretty low. They're doing some changes in the existing clinic, the new clinic building right now to keep their flows a little lower. So, and we can look in and see the main hospital. So, the current agreement with hospitals and schools, Sandy probably remembers it.
Oh, word for word?
Word for word. Anyway, the town, in addition to the debt service, the town receives an additional $48,000 a year for operation and maintenance, and a 10% surcharge on top of that. And then the town can increase that every year based on CPI, Consumer Price Index. So, which covers most of our costs. The hospital pays about 58% of that, and the school pays about 52%. So they're
110%.
Yeah, that's,
is that what I said?
42 instead of 52 on that last one.
Should be 58 and 42.
yeah, you
That
said
makes
52.
I figured that out.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, that's for a total amount of 9 million BTUs. So we'll be able to tell a little better with all of our BTU meters. We also worked on well 9. That's located down on 2nd Street, North 2nd Street. We did some flow tests on it to try to determine where some of our sanding was coming in, and we cut the flows down after that. Jeff installed a sand screen on that, so we should be able to get that well back online. On the swimming pool, in working on the MODOC schools, we brought a pretty large geothermal project to the MODOC schools. They had a heat exchanger down there they weren't using. So Jeff went down and picked it up, rebuilt it. So we're going to install that into the swimming pool circulating water, and then run our well through the other side of the heat exchanger in order to get that water temperature up a little bit. The other thing they need is they need a good blanket on the pool, because they lose most of
We discussed that, yeah.
Okay, they lose most of their heat at night, and during the day, of course. Those little bubble wrap things just won't cut it.
We need something a lot better than that.
So, I did put in a request to the Rotary Club to fund that for $10,000. I haven't heard back from that yet. I volunteered the town to cover $2,500 of that.
I think we can cover that.
Okay.
It needs to be something that's gonna be easy to use too.
Well, it
Something
needs-
very simple for the kids to put off and on without a
I
bunch
know
of.
the one in Reading, is set up at the end of the pool, and
Yeah.
it's just a crank handle.
Roll the whole thing on.
Yep. And it's got 2 ropes on it. When you pull it out, you get one person each side of the pool, they drag it out, they let it go, and then when they're ready to use it, they just roll it up.
Yeah, it just needs to be one piece instead of several
Yeah.
pieces there.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what you're looking at, is one of those.
Yeah, I was looking at one of those with the reel, and then the blankets made to go around the ladders.
Yeah, they'll cut it for them. That's how the one is they use in Reading. Not that they really need one in Reading, but it's a pretty thick, and they have it mounts right at the end of the pool. And when they need to use it, they just roll it up, they use the pool at night, the 2 kids drag it out over the top of the water and just floats it at night. It's a pretty simple, low maintenance system.
That well up at the pool has a bottom hole temperature of 140 degrees. Northwest Geothermal came in here in 1979 and 1980. The town had a franchise to develop this. Anyway, they worked on that well and ran into some problems. I think we're getting some cold water intrusion above. The last temperature log we ran showed that. But the more we pump it, if we can just keep it on, I think that temperature will go up from what it does now. It does now about 95 degrees. One thing we could consider is trying to put a longer suction pipe on the pump. But this is worth a try. This year it didn't cost me much. The water treatment project, the funding application into IFA is ready to go. There's a couple things we have to get here from town. Some largest customer information and some other odds and ends on the water rates. The application into USDA, if you remember, that was the other part of the equation. We need to get an environmental report done. That's pretty standard for their applications, so we'll be getting that completed. They're not a in-depth one at the application stage, but it does take a little work.
What is kind of the deadline for getting those in?
There is for the IFA one. We have to get it in. It is probably coming up in a couple of weeks. It was 45 days, I thought, from that letter of intent, or that letter of intent, yeah. There is no deadline on the USDA one. So, I use Andrea Robbie from Klamath Falls to do the environmental work. She's done all Red Rock
And that's
work.
for the USDA?
Yeah. She's done work for us over here. She knows the area, so it doesn't take her too long. The Red Rock site, I have a call tomorrow with Red Rock. We're supplying water to them, of course, for fire protection and running their cooling towers. We still haven't determined exactly what their wastewater flow will be. The other day they said it was going to be 350 gallons a minute. We're having a call tomorrow. That's way too high. We can't hardly handle that. So I think they could get a cycle. I don't know anything about their plant operations, but we're going to find out tomorrow. They should be able to cycle the cooling water like 5 times through the cooling. That way we'd have a discharge of about 50 gallons a minute, which we could handle. So we're going to try to sort that out tomorrow. We need their wastewater. They'll be a big customer. There'll be a big water there.
We need to know the quality of the effluent coming off of them too. We need to know the pH and if it's gonna be picking up any extra chemicals when it comes through their cooling plant.
Yeah, I think the problem they ran into, our water is got stuff in it, as you know. So we may have to,
Our water's special.
but, you know, the total dissolved solids isn't that bad in the water. I think with a little acid treatment or something to it before building their cooling tower, they're worried about the scale building up in their cooling tower. So, you know, then they have to take it down and clean all that out. So there's a little pre-treatment they can do to get rid of that, where we can cycle the water several times. We won't have that high discharge. It's 350 gallons. The Red Rock project that we did, I do have the results. I think that's on the agenda for review.
Thank you, sir.
We received 4 bids on that little project that we made. I've had projects, I just had one the other day that we didn't get any bids on. Anyway, the low bidder was Knife River. As you can see, the bottom 3 were fairly close, 250, 265, 277.
So have you worked with them before, or?
Knife River?
Yeah.
They're a great company, we're
Huge company.
huge.
I think I've heard that name before, but.
I've worked with them in California and Oregon.
That project is financed with a loan through IFA, the State Infrastructure Finance Authority. The amount of construction monies available for that is $197,850 with a contingency of about $20,000. So I talked to IFA about making up the difference. They said they could add that to the loan amount to make up for, get $350,000. I think the loan payments are being paid by Red Rock. So, I'm sorry, I don't have a copy of that agreement with Red Rock. Do you remember that, Sandy?
Vaguely, but I think you're right about that there was some agreement with that project, yeah.
Yeah.
You maybe should check when you get back just to make sure.
All right. Well, we'll request the additional monies, and then that'll change the payment. We can get that to Red Rock, and they can buy off on it. I would like to go ahead and award the project pending IFA's approval during the regular meeting. That will lock in the prices, but the bids are good for 30 days. And we could send an intent to award out, and then once IFA gets their stuff done.
Do we have any idea about what the paving costs might be?
Down there?
Yeah,
Yeah, we do. We were using that CMAQ money through ODOT. What's that called?
CMAC.
Yeah, no, but I can't remember the
Oh, the
acronym
letter
right
stand
now.
for
but Okay. It has to do with air quality. The last two letters are air quality.
Well, that's the ones that came from Ben when I went up to that meeting.
Right.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
I estimated it, offhand, I can't remember what that was.
And that money is already available.
Do you remember, how much was that? Do you remember offhand?
It was over 150,000.
Yeah, I think it's about 170,000. For a 24-foot strip of asphalt. I don't think we'll plan to put that on until September. their truck traffic is gonna be.
Right.
Yeah, you wanna make sure that you got some time to clear bridge before slipping a lot of trucks on it. But better to do it later, as long as we can keep temperature. September should be fine,
Yeah, it should be fine. We have, well, the plant's still down there. That's my favorite plant. I don't know how long we have troubles with asphalt in Lakeview. Because
You haven't tried it so far.
you either gotta bring it from Klamath or Alturas, and you pick a day to do it, and you gotta make decisions, and then you get through. So, but that's a fairly larger amount, so it will be easier.
Yeah, is that, whose plan is that specifically?
Knife River.
That's not for
That's like for, yeah, they'll probably do
Reason I asked that was because Brad said that the county would be willing to do an intergovernment agreement with us to pay that if we wanted it. But-
Well, that's an option too.
But my question, just like I told him, I said, well, but how much flack are we gonna catch from all these others?
It's a good opportunity to use that CMAQ money because they're so structured and what you can use it for. It's gotta be something that's never been paid before. That qualifies for that.
Yeah, but
It's perfect for that.
You said, what's the cost of that paving?
I think it's about 175,000.
Well, yeah, you can't really do it you can't do an agreement with the county if it's over $10,000, you're gonna have to go out to public bid.
Well, we have.
Well, there's, if you look at the model, there's those model public contract rules that reference all the statutes. I think there's a limit on paving of 150, that sticks in my mind, because we did the J Street, you know, with that special city allotment place, the J Street intersection up there, the county did that. So, that is a problem.
No, it's 50,000.
Well, they did such a good job, now everybody's complaining about the speed down through there.
You never win, there'll always be somebody that
Yeah.
complains. But, yeah, see, California's different. Anything over $10,000 public works project, period, has to go public bid.
I think it was 50,000 here.
We actually put that out for bid and nobody bid on it.
What?
We invited a couple of people to bid on that and no one was interested, so.
$50,000 is too far away. It's too far away to come
Yeah.
in. That's an issue in Lakeview, because we live in the middle of nowhere.
You're not gonna have that issue down there, plus that's the perfect spot to use that money.
Yeah. Well, you have Eagle Peak right there in Alturas, so that's enough money to get them to go Lakeview.
Knife River plant's already sitting right there.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
that's-
you've got a couple of people that would probably bid that project.
I gave everybody a copy of the master plan on the water,
Mhm.
so is there any questions on that? Or?
I haven't had time really to sit down and look at it.
I've glanced through it, but I don't think, you know, what I'm anxious is get those loans to put in that filter system and hopefully that's gonna work real well, I'm sure it will, but right now, I don't know how much well water we're gonna be using because I was told a month ago that there was 130 inches up at Dismal. And I know they've gotten a lot more since then, so probably our springs are gonna run a long time this year.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll probably run longer. We'll probably run the town till
July.
Yeah, maybe July.
Don't we usually run till July or just shy of July?
Yeah, sometimes the 1st of June.
Right,
Last year it started drying up the 1st of June.
June. But the year before that was July, mid-July. I was just curious.
Well, we're running the springs right now, just very limited amount.
When this water project's done, Darryl, do you know how many feet of old line will be left?
Yeah, I do. I have to look through there. I used to remember everything we did.
I'm at the same point. It's like,
probably 3 or 4 miles.
3 or 4 miles.
Yeah, we got a color-coded map in there, we went back, you know, the past 30, 40 years, picked up all this stuff that we find, so probably at least that.
Trying to figure out where everything's still at and where it's supposed to be. So really 3 or 4 miles, that's not a whole lot of line left.
A lot of it, there's some of it in the downtown core, like E Street, through some of those, we replaced the Main Street, of course, but, those are more complicated projects, you know, more expensive.
Right, and a lot more time and everything else.
So I'm trying to keep everybody open.
The highway from Streetscape all the way down to 9th Street is
All that.
all old.
All.
And that's gonna be a real spendy section.
Is there anything that's real deep?
On water?
Yeah, as far as the lines.
No, not real deep on water. We have a few places that there's some deep water, but there's something, you know, like creeks or.
We had to go under
Yeah,
it.
in general, the water's not.
4 feet or less.
Yeah.
Oh, really, that's good. We had some stuff in rain that's 27 feet. Yeah.
We have some sewers like that. But no,
Yeah, we had some water that's 27 feet. Trying to watch the $1 million project turn into 4.5 over time.
we've been doing some other things off and on. The emergency management with the county and the state and the town, they want quite a bit of information. I've been trying to get that to them when I had time. You know, we've done the safety study of the dam of the canyon. That's been turned into a, I don't know, they seem to request quite a bit of information. This year there's been a lot of fiber, a lot of communication lines that went through. We issued permits for those. We didn't really have a good way to do that. That's never really came up before. There was one provider here since retail for a long time. Now we got all these other data companies putting lines through Lakeview. So we put some permits together as we could. Anyway, that's something we probably need to look at in the future, some way to handle that. Basically communications too. We didn't have any way to deal with that really well, except getting everything put back in place. So,
Yeah, I did see that in the regular session, so for this water project.
yeah.
Okay, do you have anything else?
no, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you, Joe.
thank you. You too, Jeff. Thank you.
Oh, you bet.
So I guess we can move on to the liaison department. Appointments, departments, whatever.
Who's appointing who to what?
Well, Sandy and I was looking at the starter here, and the way this reads, and it's kind of funny too. The mayor shall appoint the members of all town committees, boards, and commissions, and the town council shall appoint all liaisons between the council and all committees, boards, commissions, and town departments.
You better get to appointment.
What's that?
So you better get to appointment.
Well, I've looked at this thing that Darwin put up, and what I don't see here, Darwin, is the stuff that Roberta said.
That's okay, just don't.
You want me to go get a copy of
I
that?
have it right here.
So that was my take, and I've kind of said this a couple of different times, that you and Roberta really can go to anything, and you should go to anything, and it's not really, I mean, it's
Well,
any and all town
I
business.
think
if
there
we need
are
to be
things
there.
that Roberta
Yeah, she has.
absolutely has to
Oh,
do
yeah, for sure there
as
is, yeah.
town manager. The other thing that confuses me is, I guess, which things belong in which of these that the mayor appoints and that the council appoints. Back when this charter was voted on, I think in 2009, I think it was, but anyway, you might remember some of this too.
2010,
But there was confusion about the liaison positions with the town. And I think this was meant to kind of straighten that out. So,
So this is my take on that too.
well, can I finish?
Yeah, please.
Anyway, so it was meant to kind of straighten that out. And I guess my way of thinking is that things that are the town's, the mayor should appoint. Things that are outside of the town, the council appoints. I mean, if
I
that,
100% agree with that.
okay.
Because the only thing that the town really has, to my knowledge, is the planning commission, right? Do you have any other committees?
Well, we
Is it
have
just
liaisons to our various departments, which would mean that the mayor
Right.
appoints those, which would be police, well, was
I'm
police,
not-
fire, you know, public works. Because it says
I'm not sure if I'm.
You got
All
town
that.
committees, boards, and commissions, and the town,
But,
so,
Yeah,
Lodgers
but those aren't
tax,
boards or
Lodgers tax
commissions.
board would be one for the town, I mean, that's the town's
our new lodger's tax one, that would be
yeah.
town.
Yeah, the
a
lodgers
town
tax, the
created, a
Chris-
town.
Christmas committee, and
supported.
I haven't looked
Yeah.
at all of the things on that list, but it seems
But
like.
that's not town boards. But, I mean, on this list, are you seeing any town boards? I mean, is the safety committee possibly a town-created board where it's town?
The safety
Yeah.
committee is mandated by
OSHA.
OSHA
Yeah.
that we have a safety committee for the town, yes. So that
So
is.
maybe that one?
Yeah. Now, where are you looking at?
OSHA.
Which safety committee thing are you
It's
looking
under
at?
A.
Okay.
Clerk.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's
So
Lake
that would be
County
a
Safety.
mayor kind of appointment?
So, you know, I'm not sure we have time to get this done today, but,
Well,
Well,
well, I mean, that's all I'm seeing so far.
Well, you have SCOLED.
But that's definitely not.
that's not something
That's
managed
not a
by the town.
town.
No, that's what I mean. It's
board.
not one of the ones that is part of the town.
No.
Well, I think almost the rest of these, except for the lodger tax committee, which is down on D.
And some of these, I mean, things we haven't had people on before that are on here that I'm not sure why.
I mean, the committee shouldn't even be on the list for the liaison appointment.
Well, there was a couple of them that we didn't really have. I think the fairgrounds, didn't they ask us recently to have someone on there, so that's okay, but, public works, safety committee. And my recollection is that public works and, 911 dispatch would also be mayor-appointed liaison. Because all a liaison does, they have no voting rights, they just go and listen and report back to the council if there is information that the council needs to know about. You're not a voting member.
But that's the case on all of these.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. Some of them, the prison board meeting and the Lake County Public Safety, that's required under the Oregon state law that we be on there, so we are a voting member.
Are those the only two?
I don't know about
Is the
that.
person advisory?
No, I mean, there was others, I mean, Chip, I
And I am not
vote
sure
on
about the
Chip.
Chamber of Commerce if I would suspect that you're a voting member on there. Are you not?
No, they have their own
Yeah.
board and everything.
Maybe not a board.
I was there this morning.
But are
But
you
you're not a
a
board
voting
member.
member, or is the board there the only
I
people?
think
that-
I voted this morning.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything.
Well, that's true, I don't know.
True.
I'll find out.
I know a lot of times.
We vote, we just say yes, yes.
Well, I think that, I mean, the chamber has their own board.
Right, so, yeah,
Well, I agree with how this is read, and we need to follow it. I mean, it says the mayor shall appoint members of all town committees, boards, and commissions in the sentence, you know, and then the town shall appoint liaisons.
you mean the council.
You know, the town councils shall appoint all liaisons between the council and all committees, boards, and town departments, it says. So that's, to me, everything but the safety committee, which is OSHA. A lot of these are, you know, some state function. Even the OSHA one, I'm not 100% sure that the mayor has to appoint that one, but the lodger's tax and then the planning commission, but that's, the planning commission itself isn't, I mean, the planning, but that's a department, it's only just.
The planning commission, the town planning is, I mean, we are
Yeah.
liaison, the council is a liaison to it,
Yes.
we are not on the.
Right.
See, and the other one, we've got the ag farm and the airport.
The
We-
egg farm,
The ag farm, we don't, you know, the school doesn't use it anymore.
No, we lease it out.
We lease it out.
yeah,
So-
so that can be crossed off this list.
Well, there's
because-
nothing really to do, but if someone
No.
needs to know about it.
No, we don't, because it's not the egg farm anymore. It's leased out to a private party, just like anything else, and they plant it and cut the hay, and they pay us. And that's a contract between them and the town
Right, but if
manager.
we're,
If you remember right, we did that with,
I understand the
Yeah.
contract, I'm fully aware of it, because I'm also on the school board, and so I
Right.
know it from both sides of this, but having a liaison to then sit down with the mayor or the school or negotiating this all out is something that you would want. I mean, it's a liaison, it's something that,
But the egg farm, the school egg department doesn't farm it anymore, isn't that
no,
correct?
but it's still land owned by us that we
No,
still,
it's owned by
the school district, but
No.
we're putting our.
The town
water
owns it.
the town.
the
school
town
had nothing to
owns
do with
the
it.
land. That it's
Not anymore.
Are you sure about that? I don't think we own land. I think the school district owns land. and-
Why would we be able to lease it out? It's-
We have to because we're putting our water onto it. I wish Jeff was still here. But that's my understanding, because, and then the school then leases it out, and then we all, everybody gets money.
I
But it
Well, we need to
doesn't,
look
but what I'm
into
saying, again, perfect reason why we should have a
Good
liaison who
question.
knows about it.
put a question mark by
Yeah.
it, but I think.
But regardless,
that-
it wouldn't matter if we don't need it, they do nothing. So, it's just something I think somebody should know more about, and none of us here
What's
really
going
know.
on.
Well,
Talk about
I'm
it.
not saying none of us know anything about it.
Well,
Well, obviously none of us know anything about it.
clearly,
Because I remember even the last couple of years seeing an ad in the paper for someone to lease it,
yeah.
contact the town.
Exactly. yeah.
But somebody from the council
That's
should
why
be
we
a
should know.
liaison, so we know what's going on with it.
And work with the
Well, we
mayor
have to
to,
approve the
like,
contract
load for the
when,
mayor.
when the town manager does the contract, we have to approve the contract. We have
and a
to-
liaison could help make that a smooth transition, working with the partners.
Okay, well, that's your job.
If I get letter A, if we agree with this.
Well, I'm not crazy about A, B, C, D. Tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Well,
We can go back to it, it
So how
just
do you-
balances it all. I mean, there's
Balances
7 and
it.
8. I mean, and it kind of groups them into kind of categories.
And I know, but that's the thing, you know, maybe you want a little more,
But that's why I suggested back when I
We do
put
it
this
once
together,
a
is that
year.
you would switch them up.
yeah.
You wouldn't
So that
have
you,
it for 4
so
years.
that in 4 years, you know everything about all these groups. Now, there might be times when you know, want to be,
20 years ago.
yeah.
so, I guess,
But that's the
I mean,
problem
that's-
with this town, is we've been doing everything the same for the last one.
Yeah, one
Well-
person kind of monopolizes one
Okay,
thing and then
it's
nothing
up
gets
to
done.
the council to vote on it, okay,
Right,
when it comes to
right,
that. I'm just
yeah.
voicing my opinion on it.
Well, I was just trying to explain why I said, and that's why I said, sometimes people monopolize like one thing and then we can never get new ideas into that group. And then we're stuck kind of status quo and it's not really
but
necessarily a good thing.
but see, the ones that the town manager's got, you know, basically all of those, labor negotiations, co-ed, co-act, 911 intergovernment, budget officer, regional solutions team, renewable energy enterprise zone.
But nowhere in this,
All of those that she,
does it talk about us needing to appoint her to these different groups that she will attend and sometimes be able to be a member, sometimes not.
Well,
this is hard.
She needs to go to everything that relates to town business. I don't think we need a list. I mean, any of those, she can be involved with everything, A through D on the list that's here.
but
and
she
more.
is really the main contact for those things she's on, not one of us.
Not necessarily. I mean, SCOED, SCOACT, I mean, we're very much an equal partner.
All right, we got 20 minutes to get this done. Either that or
We are getting it done. I'm not sure what I'm missing here. I mean, we're talking about, we got 25 minutes. I'm almost done saying my piece.
Almost.
all right, well,
You'll never be done.
how, you wanna just pick one and just work around the table till we get,
Well, we can't do it, I mean, we have to do it during the regular session, I think.
okay?
Well, we.
I like all these things, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if I wouldn't have been on the council, I didn't want to be involved with all these things at some point. Like,
Exactly.
I remember Mike sitting on this going, my gosh, I have not been able to be involved with police or the public works or anything important, remember? I mean, you know, and it was like, because it continued to get monopolized by one person, that's why I say, if you kind of rotate through these every couple of years, then you're gonna know everything about the
Well,
town
you can
business.
still rotate through if they're not all divided into categories, you know.
But by categorizing them,
I understand
then
your
it
point.
leaves them as, oh, well, now we switched it up and now I still never got to those things. That's why I like the grouping.
Mhm.
We can table it, I mean, it don't matter to me, I mean, nobody seems to be going to all this. Can we agree on a couple things?
No.
The town manager can go to anything she wants. We don't, nothing in our charter says we have to appoint her to anything. Is that understood? I mean, so creating a list.
Well, I think we should look at her contract and see.
Right, yeah, but it seems like we've always had this list where, oh, here's what the town manager, I mean, that doesn't need to be part of this function that we do every January-ish. You know, but it's like, and then that's why I've always agreed that the mayor as well, whatever that be, should be able to go to anything as well. We report back to the mayor essentially, who then reports to the town manager. So the mayor can go to any of these things at any given time, should know everything about all of these things, all of them. You know, something. I mean, it doesn't have to be the expert. The liaison should be working with the department head to be the expert. But the mayor should know, just like the manager, enough to get themselves in trouble, so to speak, on each of these things. So that's why I thought the four councilors then, the remaining four, should divide them evenly, group them to try to function, you know, kind of keep her focused on things and then rotate.
Rotate every January.
Good.
And that gives everybody a chance to.
In 4 years, you'll know it. You should know, and then you may say, gosh, I hate this. I'm not running this. Just a thought. I mean, we can go back to the original thing. I think it's not in this packet, but the original one where we have what we currently have, other than the two newbies, and then, you know, we give them whatever needs to be still.
I like this system a lot better, because it gives everybody a chance to see what's going on in town over the 4 years that they're here. And it also keeps an individual, if they have an issue with
Yeah,
one
that-
of these, of staying on there just to be a problem for that certain.
Yep. Get nowhere with your liaison. You're supposed to
Exactly.
report back to the council to kind of change
Exactly.
things. And then you don't want that department head getting frustrated or whatever.
And that
They have to
eliminates
come to
all
her,
that.
you know, so.
Yep, and this eliminates all that.
And sometimes with, you know, even the manager, I mean, sometimes, you know, if a counselor and the manager are thinking alike, but it's not what the department head wants, it goes nowhere. But then with the rotation, then you get new ideas, new thoughts, and you get somewhere.
Well, the thing is too, like the PAC meeting, you know, Roberta and I go to those. And I guess upon the council, you know. But sometimes she doesn't always make it, sometimes I don't always make it, so it'd be nice to have at least 2 people out there.
That's the thing, I mean, like Roberta and you should always be active. So after that, you separate everything else, and then if you're double covered, when you get the manager or the mayor also showing up, this sort of thing.
Do you have a list of what we were on now?
Sure.
Mhm. I didn't.
I don't think I have it with
Dad
me.
has one on the front of it.
Oh,
You want me to go photocopy?
Oh, yeah,
it?
there you go.
Yeah, that looks like it was on there last year.
It's similar to this, but it wasn't as balanced, I just.
Well, I
She
think
made it
you're
up.
saying this list of the town manager, regional solutions team, budget officer, that's part of her renewable energy enterprise zone, MC museum. Some of those things are just, that she just does routinely, that it's not an appointment.
But is ag farm under there? I mean, you talk about
No,
her
the
doing
ag
the
farm-
contract, so.
The egg farm isn't under there,
No, all-
but that's, you know, that's the whole thing. It's just part of her job.
Yeah, and my argument is, not argument, but
But
my
some,
stance is, my point I'm trying to make is, she's involved with every one of these things. And so we should say, at the top of this,
But-
town mayor
but
and
then
town manager
who's the
does all of
voting
these.
member? If
Well,
it's
that's by
something-
that group, that committee that appoints their members. SCOA appoints their members. It's not this council's job to appoint their members. We could assign her to that, and they may say, we don't want her to be a voting member. But it might also be in their charter or their bylaws that say,
Well,
then they are a voting
can
member.
I make some comments on the way that it was preached to me by the different organizations that I was involved with? The Prison Advisory Committee, that is a non-voting liaison position. The county also has, I think Brad was serving on that as well. He's a non-voting as a county commissioner. Those are non-voting positions as liaisons. In regards to the SCOED, the executive board position that's held by Roberta is mandated, I guess, by SCOED or the way that it's set up. We always had a liaison position, but when Ray was the town manager, it kind of became redundant. I would go to all the meetings and Ray would give the reports, and there was really, I mean, Ray was always at the meetings because of the executive position. But there was no need to stop. Darwin, you picked it up again then, and Darwin's been the liaison to that. The Chamber of Commerce, we got into a big ruckus in regards to the voting there, and our member, the chamber board does not include voting for the liaison. It's not a voting type situation.
I didn't think it was either.
So they may let you vote, but it's not supposed to be. But those are some that I've, been involved with that I do know that we've gone through and found out for sure. And I just was gonna lay the light on those
Yeah,
three. And
not
I'm
all
sorry
are
to
the
lay in
same.
on
We
it.
can set it,
All of
we can
us.
set it up that way, and, I can go to any one of them.
no, I'll give you that back.
Well, Nikki's not here anyway, so we can table it and take a short break.
All right, we'll take a short break. So we'll go ahead and adjourn the work session at 3:48.